Salam everyone, welcome back to Jaqyndar, a podcast that brings our university community closer. Today we have a very special guest, the President of Nazarbayev University, Dr. Waqar Ahmad. Today we'll talk about his journey, first impression of Nazarbayev University, and his vision for the future. Let's get started. Dr. Ahmad, thank you for being here. How are you?
It's a pleasure. And thank you for inviting me. Very pleased to be here.
Could you please tell a little about yourself and your journey at Nazarbayev University so far?
Well, let me start from when I was first approached about this job. It took a very long time. The whole process lasted about 10 months of fits and starts. Could have been done better. I visited a couple of times. The first time to meet a lot of people and to do some interviews and so on. I went back again.
Yeah.
I was told that I was the preferred candidate and was invited to revisit and meet members of the board. That happened at the end of June of last year. I think 27th or 28th of June. Finally met the board members and they said, congratulations, we're delighted to appoint you. And by the way, your work starts today. So I had to apologize. Well, I accepted. I mean, I was very happy to start, but I had to say to them that I have a daughter to marry off. She was getting married in July and I had other commitments. So we agreed that I would go back to the UK and work remotely for a month. So my daughter got married in the third week of July, and at the end of July, I was back here. 9 months, like any other job, there are pleasant surprises and less pleasant surprises.
Yeah, obviously.
And this has been no different. But ultimately, am I happy to be here? I'm very happy to be here. It's a huge privilege. It's a fantastic institution. It's particularly special because of the quality of its students.
Oh, thank you so much.
So I'm delighted. I'm delighted. It's a lot of hard work. Probably haven't worked as hard as this in my life.
Wow.
If you talk to my colleagues in the executive and elsewhere, they will tell you that I make their lives very, very difficult because I expect everybody else to work just as hard. There are lots of things to do. There are things to correct. But there are also fantastic opportunities. We sit on a huge amount of unrealized potential.
Yes.
At this university, and it's my job to work with the community. That community includes you and your fellow students. We're blessed. I say to colleagues when I go back to the UK that our students are as good as any students that I have come across. And I worked in the elite sector in the UK, at the University of York and University of Leeds. I was a visiting professor at University College London for about 7 years. And the students here are as good as you would find in the best institutions across the board. They are able, they are ambitious, they are multi-talented. Every second student here is a musician, for God's sake. Where would you find that?
That's true.
Every second student is a singer. So hugely impressed. But there is a lot to do.
I hope the students are going to be happy to hear about this. So, as you mentioned, having worked in higher educational institutions across the world, what was the first expression and impression of Nazarbayev University students for you?
Well, I've known about the university for quite some time. I've hired people from here when I was at Abu Dhabi.
Oh, really?
So I hired a dean and I had a couple of other people. I knew that this was a critically important experiment in developing higher education of international standing, but of local relevance.
Yeah.
Both those things are equally important. You want world-class standards, but you don't want a university which is a bubble, which has nothing to do with the local community and has no impact on the development of this fantastic country or the region. And so I was hugely impressed. I was impressed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have applied. I thought I'd retired from my last job. And so I came here, and there are no surprises as far as students are concerned. I mean, any surprise as far as students are concerned is a pleasant one. So I knew the students got a place at the university through a highly competitive process. So you could predict that they're going to be able educationally. What I didn't know about was what was a pleasant surprise was the quality of the community.
Oh, wow.
Here. So 5,000 students living on campus,
Yeah.
300 odd faculty living on campus. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about the resources which are important for the community. Your eating places and cafeterias, the health center, the sports facilities, the shops, and everything else.
It's like a little town.
It's like a village. It's like a well-run village. But beyond that, well-run towns and well-run villages, the sense of community is also important.
Mm-hmm.
And you find that here. There are clubs and societies. The student life at the university, I would say, is better than our experience at any university.
Oh, really?
And this includes universities in the UK. 120 or so clubs and societies. Every single one of them is active. And then on top of that, we've got talented people like you running podcasts like this.
Oh, thank you.
So you don't have to be part of a club and society not to make a contribution to the development and sustenance of this fantastic community.
That's great to hear. And you students are really known for their ambition among other Central Asian students. Now, a lot of students like to hear some interesting personal details about their leaders. Well, personally, I do. What's one fun fact about you that other students wouldn't know?
Well, this will surprise you. At Abu Dhabi University, our head of sports, I was talking to him and I said, look, let's do something which brings the community together. And he came back after a couple of weeks and he said, on the condition that you participate. So I said, fine. And what he came up with was the competition.
Athletic one?
Yeah, athletic one. As you can see me, I'm not an athlete.
No.
But I participated, and there were 4 things that were rowing so on a machine, doing press-ups, and I'm completely rubbish at press-ups. Can't do them to save my life. There was a third thing that I can't remember the name of. The 4th one was doing squats.
Oh, that's difficult even for me.
So I discovered that I could do squats. I had no idea. You had to do it in kind of 1 week, and then you had to come back again. And then COVID happened.
Oh.
But the coach decided that he still wanted the competition, but what he wanted to do was for people to take videos of them doing squats. But now, of course, you don't know what the competitors are doing.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't judge yourself against the competitors. So I retired at Abu Dhabi University as the university squats champion. I did 1,200 squats in one go. It lasted 1 hour and 7 minutes. And my legs and feet were cramping for the next 3 days.
Oh, I can imagine the pain. That's impressive. You said 1,200?
1,207.
1,207. I bet many students didn't know about that. Your career spans university, leadership, and even governmental roles, right? So what inspired you to take the role of the president at Nazarbayev University?
So it's a very good question, because I thought I had retired. My last job was as the president of Abu Dhabi University. Small university, smaller than Nazarbayev University. It's private. Has no state funding of any kind. So if you can go there and make a difference, then you're a proper leader. And I did make a difference there. And there are various ways in which you can look at the success. Student numbers grew. The quality of the intake improved. Student outcomes improved. For the size of the university, it had more accreditations than any other university, certainly in the UAE, possibly in the Arab region. But the last thing that we can look at is its reputation. When I got there in 2017, we were not in Times High rankings because we didn't qualify. We didn't have enough publications. We worked really hard. We brought in a new strategy. for us, ranking, reputation was of critical importance because we survived on student fees. And you're not going to get high-performing students in the kind of numbers that you need.
Yes, exactly.
If you are not a prestigious institution. And the rankings are one indicator, an important indicator of the quality of an institution.
Of course.
Entered the Times High rankings in 2022 in the top 350.
That's such a huge improvement.
For the first time. The following year, we improved on that. I left in February of 2023 thinking, I've done my job.
That's it.
I can now hand it to somebody else. My wife and children wanted me back home. My son had got married, and we were hoping that there would be a grandchild and so on. So I went back, and I took on a visiting professorship at the London School of Economics and another one at the University of York. These are prestigious appointments.
Yeah.
And then I was approached for this job. And it was just a fantastic opportunity. As a concept, I love the concept of creating a world-class university which is locally relevant here in this region. I knew something about the region historically. Some of the great thinkers from Avicenna to Al-Farabi came from this region. Khwarizmi came from this region, the father of algebra. But even further back, Imam Bukhari, the person, the compiler of the prophetic sayings, he came from Bukhara. So I knew about the region. I knew about his contribution to the development of science and development of literature and the development of ideas. And so I started thinking about this and talked to my wife and others, and thought it would be a fantastic opportunity if I could come here and make a difference. And I feel very privileged and very lucky to be here.
That's such a noble motivation. So stepping into this role must have come with some challenges. What was the biggest challenge so far leading Nazarbayev University?
I don't just want to talk about challenges. I want to talk about opportunities as well.
Oh, great.
I think the opportunity is really to put this university on the world map. So if we take rankings as one indicator of a quality, we're in the top 501 to 600. For me, that's not good enough. Okay, so we can say that we're best in the region. So what? We need to be on the world map. So I've set a target for ourselves to be in the top 300 by the year 2030, and we will get there. I know what to do. We've done it at Abu Dhabi University. Abu Dhabi University, interestingly, this year got into the top 200.
Wow, that's such an improvement.
Okay. Now, my children joke that they got into 200 because I left. That's not the case. It's because we had a strategy and we put in the right people and we put it on an upward trajectory, and it's got to exactly where it should have got to. So that's the job here. The opportunity is to make this a truly world-class, internationally significant university with local relevance, which makes a contribution to the development of talent, of fantastic talented people like you and
Thank you.
Your fellow students. But beyond that, which is also contributing to development of knowledge, which develop particular disciplines that we are involved in, and knowledge which leads to the betterment of economy and society.
Yes, of course.
Right? So that's the opportunity, and that's what excites me. But in order to get there, there's a lot that needs to be done. Research across the university is a little bit uneven.
Yes.
We need to fix it. We've got people, for example, who, if they're publishing in Nature or if they're publishing in The Lancet or they publish it in the New England Journal of Medicine, it's not news, right?
Yeah.
These are the best journals in the world. Yet at the same time, we've got people who haven't published anything in the last 3 years. So we need to fix that. The excellence needs to be uniform across the university in every subject.
Yeah,
that we are in. We have financial challenges. University for a long time was blessed with a huge number of resources, and therefore it never got into the habit of knowing how to cut costs, knowing how to become extremely efficient, knowing how to make savings in those areas where you can, whilst protecting the core. And the core is great student teaching, fantastic student experience, world-class research. Okay, so that's a challenge. It's a challenge we're addressing. Last year, we took a lot of money out of our expenditure whilst protecting the core. So the quality of education, if anything, improved. The quality of research, if anything, improved, whilst we cut costs elsewhere. This year, we've got an exercise currently. We have an exercise in play, which is looking at reorganizing our schools.
Oh.
We've got 7 schools and 1 center. That's far too many for only 7,500 students. Some of the schools only have a couple of hundred students in them. And yet, every school has a dean. They've got sub-dean for this thing, a sub-dean for that thing. Every school then has an administrative unit and so on. Now, that's inefficient. It's inefficient, but also it doesn't serve our purposes in terms of making sure that there's critical mass in terms of quality of teaching and research clusters. As I said, it's inefficient administratively, and it's expensive financially. So we're looking at those things. We also have I would say a frustration, and my frustration is with the bureaucracy. I have never experienced bureaucracy of the level that we have here. Some of it is externally imposed, and we simply have to live with it. Some of it is internal.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you have to sign a very simple contract, which in Abu Dhabi or in the UK, you sign it, you agree it today, and you sign it today, and you implement it tomorrow. And here, it requires 27 signatures, and it may take 3 weeks before those things are signed. So that's a continuum from deeply frustrating to just amazing potential, which energizes me every day. And every morning I wake up enthusiastic about the future of this university and wanting to make a real difference. But to make that difference as a community, I as a single leader can't do anything. The community needs to come together.
Yes.
And that's the community, not just of the leadership, it's the academics, it's the students, it's our staff, and it's our external stakeholders. And my job is to bring everybody together to achieve great things.
I'm so glad to hear that. I hope the Jaqyndar podcast will be one of the factors that brings our university community closer. Okay, so on to the next question.
Yeah.
As a president, you must have a packed schedule. So what does a typical day in your life look like?
Gosh, there's no typical day. That's what's typical about it. So on a particular day, for example, so now, this week, for example, what are we dealing with? We are in negotiation with the Ministry of Science and Higher Education about ensuring that we've got new funding streams coming to support our research. A huge amount of work. And I'm very grateful to the range of colleagues who put together our submission, which is this thick, with lots of data and lots of arguments, and so on. So that's one thing which is going on. We're putting the finishing touches to our submission to Times Higher for the next round of the rankings. That's a huge amount of work, and I'm again extremely grateful to my colleagues for undertaking that work. But on an average day, you would have external issues to deal with, whether it's the press or whether the request from the ministry for information on this thing or that other thing, and so on. There are student issues. So today, for example, I got a letter from a student who's saying, I can't sleep in my room because my roommate snores. And President, what are you going to do about this?
Oh my God.
Okay. Or you have to deal with a mother who is concerned about her son, and the son is in difficulty with the university, and the mother turns up pleading on behalf of the student. You have to say to them, look, we have policies and processes, and I, as the president, and I'm not going to intervene and set aside our policies and processes. So the student has to go through due process, and the committee will make a recommendation, and the students can then appeal against the recommendation of the committee if they do not like what the committee is recommending. So those are just some examples of an average day, but I can tell you that no 2 days are the same.
I think it takes a lot of energy to balance all of that. And that's very impressive. So with your background in social policy and academic leadership, what's your vision for the future of Nazarbayev University for the next few years?
I want to see us making progress on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, on a daily basis. And to make progress across everything that we do. I want us to be a world-class institution. I want us to be an institution which supports the development of all talents across the university. Students to excel, but also to have a great time. And to leave the institution as rounded individuals. Because you can have a nice piece of paper which says, this is your CGPA, etc.
Yeah.
But if you don't have communication skills, if you can't take a knock the first time you're going to come across a difficulty in life, and you're going to collapse in a heap and never be able to get up, then you're going to have a pretty miserable life. You're not going to achieve your potential. So students to come out as rounded individuals capable of transforming the world and making a huge, massive contribution to the development of this country, but also to have the resilience and the critical awareness and the problem-solving abilities to move with the times. If you think that you'll graduate when 21, maybe 22, 21, 22, you'll probably have a productive full-time working life of 44, 45 years, 46 years, and so on. There's only one guarantee, and that is that the life that you will see when you're 21 is going to be very different from the life that you will see when you're 65. And if you can't adopt, you're not going to be able to make a contribution. I also want our faculty to be able to make a contribution. There are a lot of us who came to academia not because the money is fantastic, because very often the quality of the talent which comes into academia, they can go into the private sector and make much more money.
Yes.
Right. People come into higher education almost as a mission because you're committed to making a difference. You're committed to the creation of knowledge. You are committed to the dissemination of that knowledge and application of that knowledge. And you apply that knowledge in developing fantastic, talented young people like yourself, but also the contribution to disciplines and the impact on economy and society. And I want our staff to feel that they're making a contribution. So a sense of community, across the whole university. And I've lost the train of thought. Let's do this question again.
No, it's going great. So I just want to make one comment about the skills that students should have. So GPA is not the main thing, obviously, right?
Important, but not the main thing. Yeah.
So I think that your comment about the adaptation being the main skill that you need further in life, for example, the world changes every year, every month. Yeah. So I think it's also very important to have the adaptability skills along with a high GPA to have a successful and fulfilling life, in my opinion. And I agree with you. And the question was, what's your vision for the Nazarbayev University in the next few years?
So we start again.
No, you can continue. I can
continue. All right. So first and foremost, we are a community, and I want us to succeed as a community. Right? University needs to succeed for you, for the academics who come here, for the young people who come here, in the service departments and so on. And then there are external markers of what that success would look like, right? The success would look like in a number of ways. That competition for coming into the university would be tougher than it is. That we will have an ever-increasing proportion of international students. coming here because Kazakhstan is trying to shape itself as a hub for higher education. That we will have world-class partners who would want to come and work with us. We would have collaborative teaching with some of the best universities in the world. We might have joint research funds with some of the best universities. We would be increasingly undertaking collaborative research. The best research today cannot be done as a sole researcher.
Yes, of course.
Right? So you need to collaborate, you need to cooperate, and so on. And one important marker of the ambition for the university is the rankings. I've committed to the board that by the year 2030, hopefully a little bit earlier, we will be very firmly in the top 300 institutions in the world. And if we are to get there, then the rankings for individual subjects, for many of those individual subjects, needs to be higher.
Yes.
Than that. We got into the top 200 for education this year for a 14-year-old university. That's pretty good.
That's impressive.
But for me, the overall rankings, as I said, are not good enough. We're a better institution than is reflected in the rankings. So my hope is that in next year, for example, as we are putting together the data, I can see how the data compare between this year and last year's submission. And I can tell you that our submission is considerably stronger than it was last year. So my expectation is that we will go up in rankings next year. That will also have a knock-on effect on subject rankings. The whole area of medicine and health is looking very strong. Education is stronger than it was last year, and so on.
That's a very inspiring vision. I hope that every student at Nazarbayev University can work towards it together as a community, as you mentioned, because it would be impossible if only the leader worked towards it, right? So everyone should put effort.
So a lot. Are you a musician?
No.
You're not. Okay. But a lot of the
I'm
students,
a painter. Yeah.
You're a painter. Well, great. So a lot of our students are musicians, an awful lot of them. And the job of running a university is similar to being a conductor of an orchestra. That you're not necessarily the best player of any of the instruments. Right? And your job is to bring together the best musicians to play amazing music. But the contribution you make is in the making of that music, by bringing together, harmonizing. So bring people together in unison, making great music, and that great music can only be made as a community. Everybody comes together, everybody knows their role, and everybody's making a contribution, but they're also supporting each other to excel.
So what's one piece of advice that you'd give to NU students?
Excel. Work incredibly hard. Achieve more than what you think you're capable of and what others think you are capable of. So let me give you not just one piece of advice, but 2 or 3 pieces of advice.
Oh, great.
I think the other piece of advice that I'm going to give is that alongside excelling, I can absolutely guarantee you that you will not succeed in life if A, you can't lead, and secondly, you can't work as part of a community. Right? There's very little that we do these days which is not done as a member of a team. So you need to really work hard to learn the skills of being a fantastic team member, but also learn to lead. And leading isn't about ordering people.
Yes.
It's about getting the best out of the team. That's my job. You know, my job is not to go around and boss people around.
Yeah, of course not.
It is to bring together the right kind of talent and to enable them to do more and better and quicker than they thought they were capable of doing. And they can only do that, A, if they work as a team, if they feel valued, and if they feel that they have the resources, but also critically, if they know that if they make an honest mistake, an honest error, their heads are not going to be chopped. Okay? So where people are scared to stick their neck out, if they're scared to make a mistake, an honest mistake, then you do not excel. You need to be able to take a knock and get up again and get up stronger and so on. And the third piece of advice is integrity. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with other people. You have to walk the talk. If you commit to something, deliver, even if it's difficult and even if it puts you in a difficult position yourself. It's really important to deliver. So excel, work as a community and as a team member, and have integrity. 3 pieces of advice.
That's a really great advice. I'm sure many students will take that to their heart. Leadership styles vary across different institutions, universities, and individuals. If you had to describe your leadership style in 3 words, what would they be?
Goodness. Use evidence in decision making. Develop fantastic teams and enable them to do a great job. So it's not 3 words, but in essence, what I'm saying is I'm not into command and control. So command and control as a leadership style comes from the military, and even there it fails.
Yeah, being cruel is not the way.
No. So what you need is, and for me, the use of evidence in decision making is of critical importance. You make better decisions if you use evidence and data. And what's interesting, rather bizarre about universities is that they're in the business of knowledge, they're in the business of data, and yet a lot of them do not make use of information and data in day-to-day decision making and strategy making, and the monitoring of strategy. So that's one of my strengths, that I use data to make decisions, to monitor progress, to chart a journey, and to know when you've got there or if you're going to get there. But hire brilliant people, hire amazing people, give them the opportunities to do an amazing job.
Yes. Before we wrap up, I have one question I ask every guest on Jaqyndar. What's one moment at Nazarbayev University that you'll remember for the rest of your life?
It's the students, without any doubt. At the heart of every university, and yes, we're in the business of knowledge creation, but we're not a university without students. And ultimately, for me, it's the students who make or break our university. And this university is blessed with amazing talent. I'm very, very proud of the quality and the ambition of students, their ability to make a community, to support each other, and their commitment to making this a fantastic university. So for me, that's more important than anything else that I've seen or I'm likely to experience here.
That was beautiful. Thanks for sharing. All right, so this is it for today's episode. Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for sharing your story and your vision.
It's a pleasure.
It was really an honor to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.